how did you feel? Because I went to my grandparents' attic and I found all sorts of, funny historical memorabilia, and one of them was an heraldic sign of our family that then turned out to be actually fake. So for one day we were dreaming about being this kind of aristocratic Italian family from the north of Italy, and it didn't materialize. So, but I remember the feeling that we had when we kind of found this initially. So, how did it feel when you found this? I mean, it's something absolutely extraordinary.
I have to say I can remember the moment very clearly. So I was doing an apprenticeship at Rolex. So I was in their head office in their workshop in London, training.
Rolex, another British company, by the way.
Well, exactly, and in London where Rolex was founded. So I'm there learning to become a watchmaker, and I remember basically, it's all thanks to a meeting I had with the pension advisor, and it's quite funny. So basically, we're talking annual meeting. This is what your pension is. This is how much you'll be worth when you retire, that sort of thing. And at the end of the meeting, the chap said, right, well, head back to the workshop, and remember, only 39 more years to go. And I remember I was in my 20s, and I remember walking down those stairs thinking, oh my goodness, yeah, I'm going to be sat at the same workbench, servicing pretty much the same watches for the rest of my working life. And I just suddenly realized I didn't really want to do that. So I spent a few weeks thinking about it. And I went home chatting to my parents one weekend, and I said to them, I kind of feel like I might want to do more than just being at the workbench. And don't get me wrong, an apprenticeship in watchmaking is not a quick and easy thing. But I was like, I think I want to do my own business. But I had no idea what that would be, what industry, what company, none of that. And this is where it's wonderful to have these conversations with parents, because my mother, she said what only mothers would do. She suddenly said, serving up the roast potatoes for Sunday lunch, she goes, well, darling, why don't you restart the family watch company? And when you can't ask for a better sort of light bulb eureka moment. Suddenly going,
and you went which family company?
Exactly. and the thing is, when I had applied for the job at Rolex, my mother had said to me, "Oh, how funny! It must be in the blood, because you had relatives who used to be watchmakers, your great grandfather and his father." But that was all she had said. And when you're told that they had been watchmakers, you assumed that they were, a single person working alone in a workshop, tinkering away, repairing watches. The bit that she had failed to tell me was, as well as being fully trained watchmakers, and interestingly, the first three FEARS managing directors actually learnt watchmaking under Maurice Grossman in Glashütte. Which is rather interesting. They actually, in the 1870s, you went to Germany to do your watchmaker training. But anyway, what she'd failed to tell me, as well as being watchmakers, they were also managing directors of the largest watch company in the west of England, a watch company that at one point had 100 watchmakers here in this city and used to build and send watches out to 95 countries around the world. So FEARS was a very sizable operation. And yeah, as I say, a eureka moment. When I discovered this, I realized, right, I've got to do this. I've got to work out somehow to bring FEARS back to life. And that moment eventually happened 6.5 years ago, when I'd left Rolex and spent 6 months working full time on FEARS, and then brought it back to life in November 2016.
Amazing. Johnny, what a story.
It really is. And I was just thinking, Pietro, when you mentioned the coat of arms that you found in your grandparents' attic, I think possibly my grandfather might have sold it to you. So
That's a story.
So, but no, it's incredible story. And if a little bit of a rarity nowadays, that there's an actual genealogical connection between where Nicholas is, going back to the actual origins of the FEARS brand.